Hi. During my interviews, I'm normally drinking tea with my guests, but this time I met the Chun brothers on a martial art festival. So we had no tea, but the interview is really great and very interesting. I hope you like it. So, hello. Today we're on the martial art festival in Graz. You can hear at the back. I sit here together with Barry, Spencer, the Chun brothers, but maybe some of our viewers don't know you yet. Maybe you guys like to introduce yourself and tell a little bit more what Chun brothers is all about.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, my name's Barry Lewis. I've been involved in the Wing Chun system for a very long time and in the UK based. My Sifu, Joseph Mann, he was seventh Kung Fu son of Li Xing. Li Xing was very famous within the Chinese community in the UK especially for introducing the Wing Chun system, especially in the London area in the 60s and 70s especially. Under my Sifu, Joseph Mann, he was very much a cultural teacher, and he imparted onto us and my Kung Fu brothers the way of the Chinese way, and that's why we learned according to what we call literature, and the Chinese literature that he got from his Sifu Li Xing, my Sifu, and that's the path we followed and how we've learned our Wing Chun. So what we talk about in our Wing Chun today is based on that strain of thought that's come from Li Xing, who of course was under the Yip Man organisation and also has many connections into China itself, and Futsan, obviously originating from Hokkien in China. So myself, I'm just a Wing Chun man, pure and simple. That's all I've ever done. I love the art, and I know there's lots of variations in all the different people that practice it, but at the end of the day, I like to think that it's something which our Sifu got given when he took over what he called the Jammo, which was his name given by his Sifu, which is to spread the art throughout the four corners of the world. And we're just following in that same vein. And that's who I am. Spencer.
So I'm Spencer Devine from London. I met Barry back in 1993. And that was when I started my Wing Chun journey, which was almost 20 years after this man started his Wing Chun journey. Almost, I said almost. And we both stumbled across our master, Joseph Mann, in the streets of Brixton, in one of his students' houses. And for me, it was my first venture into the Wing Chun style, or system as we know it today. And that's where we started training together. And we literally went through almost a decade's worth of like an obligation, a contractual obligation to learn as much as we can, do as much as we can for the Sifu. And as Barry was saying, one of the exchanges there was that he would try to teach us as much as he could, as openly as possible. And it meant that we had to submerge ourselves into his culture and learn more language skills and how he's piecing together his Wing Chun that he had inherited from Li Xing. When he passed in 2016, we had already set up the Chun Brothers. We actually formed the company way before that, called YYA Limited, to help promote martial arts. And our initial dream was to go out there and help unify martial arts together from different styles and backgrounds. And later we decided to concentrate a little bit more on ourselves and our own Wing Chun family, because it was very divided at the time. And we had the fortune of bringing together three of the masters from the Li Xing family, our uncles, Austin Go and Joseph Lee, and our Sifu to teach in the same space. And that really sparked the ideas for us to continue building this relationship as two Chun brothers, and bringing in other people that we felt are Wing Chun brothers or just martial brothers, and spreading and propagating the idea of exchange and opening up our family a little bit more to the public, because we still believe the Li Xing family system has different knowledge that's out there. And we're here in some respects to continue our Sifu's mission. And
we're here doing this interview with you in Graz, Austria, at the Smog Centre for the festival. And through that connection in Austria and in Germany, we also have met Christoph as well, and many other good martial artists. So it's like a collaboration, and meeting good people is what we're all about. We keep away from the politics, shall we say, because obviously it doesn't take us forward in getting involved in all of that. Everyone's got their own opinions of what's right or wrong, which is fine. You know, as a Yip Man, from what we hear, the story says sometimes, yeah, that's okay to do it that way. He's not going to say it's right or wrong, and I think that is a great teaching, actually. Whereas with modern technology, everybody has so much information to question that logic. But actually, you just got to be patient and follow the process of your sifu or your elders who's teaching you, as they hopefully are following the right footsteps too. That's what I can say about that.
The first question I want to ask is about the three forms. We have the three forms many Wing Chun styles have, you know, like Silim Tao, Cham Kyu and DEUTSCHE. And I'd like to ask you, in your opinion, what actually is the role of these three forms?
Wing Chun has 3 empty hand forms in most systems across the world. Actually, they definitely have 3 empty hand forms, and in where we come from, under the Li Sing route, there's 3 forms that we also follow. The first form called Silim Tao, and Silim Tao is the introductory form of the Wing Chun system. It's also the index of the Wing Chun system. It explores what we call the seeds of what Wing Chun is all about, the core principles, and you have to learn the first form really to really get a full grasp of what Wing Chun is all about. And that then leads into the second form. And the second form is it's known as the seeking or searching the bridge. Depends on your perspective actually, and how it's written according to your teachings from your sifus, which way you follow that. And the idea of the Chum Kill is to cross over the bridge. It's a bridge form. In other words, you're passing from point A into point B to get to point C. And so the second form is the intermediate form, in other words, sometimes they call it. But it's also a very important form because it takes you into very close contact with your opponent. And that then leads you into, once you get across the bridge, what you find is many problems can occur. Right? And this is why the third form comes in, which we haven't gone in so far today, but in essence, the third form is they like to say it's a darting fingers form, but it has many interpretations. But ultimately, I would say it's about, should we say, change. Okay, you're in a situation that you found yourself in, and this is where the DEUTSCHE finds itself. You have to change that dynamics to recover yourself back into your first form and second form idea. So the Chum Kill, the DEUTSCHE is very much a changeable form, and it's much more dynamic than the other two. Okay, and one other thing I'd mention on these 3 forms, the footwork dictates how you use the form. So in the first form, we tend to concentrate on the ball of the foot to apply the technique. When you go into the Chum Kill form, we then revert to the heel of the foot because we are trying to dig into the earth and sink in other words. And then in the third form, we're flying. So we're on the toes of our foot a lot more to move quickly to get to where we need to go or away from where we don't want to be. So that's the 3 forms in essence. Obviously there's much more to it than that, but that's a brief outline from my point of view.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
First form. Yeah. We talk about the spatial awareness and receiving forces, receiving energies in as much as we can in a defensive way. The second form, about then positioning yourself in a way that you have strength enough to stop that force from coming forward, but also enough to start engaging in the other person's structure and affecting them so they're not 100% comfortable. Third form, at that point of no return. So you've passed these 2 areas, you're now in a very difficult situation, and ultimately it's either victory or not. If there's no victory, How will we recover? How do you get yourself back into that first form mindset? And we discuss it today a little bit more about being in a specific mindset while you're practicing a form, rather than thinking of it on a technical level of technique by technique by technique. We break them forms down into sets. And I think one of the main differences, in a sense, of the Lee Sing family and the way we were training our first form specifically, is there was a lot of details in each set, both of how to train it solo, train it in an interactive manner, and then develop it with different equipment and things that go into that form, helps to develop that form to become more thorough. So by the time we end up getting into the second form, you should be able to defend anything. Some people would say you should be able to defend anything just with one hand before you should have the ability to apply and use that second form. And today I think the main things that we were sharing were just one specific set from each form, exchanging energies with the guys to see where they were at in their training, and ultimately getting them ready to pair these energies and to start using the mind of the seed. And in respects, the seed we talk about is a Tan Sao seed, a Phúc Sao seed, and a Bong Sao seed. And if you keep that in mind during your entire Wing Chun practice, you can't really go too far wrong.
Okay, I have one more question about the three forms, and especially also the way it's taught, or you were taught Wing Chun. Because, for example, you explained Silium Tao, you said the step work is different, for example, from Jump Cue and from DEUTSCHE, but one might say in Silium Tao there is no step work. So is this step work taught before, together with the form, or afterwards, or is there something in addition? Is everything taught within the three forms, or are there many other exercises the students need to learn first? How one can imagine this way of teaching?
With our Silium Tao and the way our Sifu learnt Silium Tao, the first thing to make clearer is our Sifu, Joseph Ban, spent 5 years on his Silium Tao. And that means 5 years without seeing any other influence of any other form. He just went through a kind of an old way of training Silium Tao in some respects. Starting that in the 60s, in 1965, before the formation of what is soon to become known as Wing Chun was. So during that time, there was a lot of supplementary stepping exercises. We used the reference of the plum flower and the plum blossom a lot within our stepping movements. We add in different warm-up ideas, different stretching and mobility exercises. Everything to complement the Silium Tao from the waist down, because like you say, Christoph, there's no movement in the waist down, everything's square body, but we all know in action when you move, if you need to learn to use that method for self-defense, you've got to be able to position yourself in the right place to be able to do that. So the main stepping we would discuss at that stage would be plum flower stepping work. And that's done at the same time. We do have a unique wooden dummy set we call a plum flower wooden dummy, and that is believed to complement the Silium Tao, where you're using the Silium Tao mindset on the upper half of the body, and the plum flower stepping mindset on the lower half. So you're getting a full workout as an exercise. And some of the old writings would say along the lines of, with that pairing of the Silium Tao knowledge and the plum flower training, it gives birth. And it gives birth to another idea of what Silium Tao is. So you can then start progression into your second form.
Well, yeah, look, any Wing Chun across the world has its own way of opening its position, which everyone will refer to as the Kim Yong Ma, yeah, which is the basic stance. Okay, now when you get into that stance, you have to have some exercise in preparation to train your legs to use that Kim Yong Ma, right? So beginners learning the Wing Chun system has to learn how to move that stance, right? So this is one of the processes that every beginner has to follow, you know. And once you've learned your basic stance, then you've got to learn left and right, forward and back. as Spencer said earlier in one of his comments, spatial awareness has to be very much
Fine-tuned.
yeah, into what you're doing. So there's a process that you have to go through whilst you learn your Selim Tao. You don't just stay you're in Selim Tao, for example, you can do sitting down. You don't have to be in a stance, all right? But doing it sitting down creates different feelings, okay? When you stand, it's a bit like a child learning to walk. You know, the child doesn't know how to walk first of all, it crawls. So, but how do you get up? It has to learn that, right? So before it can even talk, say mummy or daddy, okay, which one we don't know, because that's the process that it follows. It learns these things, okay? And so sometimes people take the form work as literally as you see, but Wing Chun is very much a form within a form of a form. There's many layers inside that form, and that's why you need to learn from someone who knows. You can't learn it on YouTube or somewhere else. You have to find someone who with experience to take you through the steps so that your stance work, your movement, your angles are in line with your form idea. And that's what you do.
So, thank you very much. Anything else? Any famous last words?
Don't stop.
Yeah.
Just keep on going.
Yeah, you've got to have an open mind in the martial arts world, and you mustn't close yourself even outside of the Wing Chun world to the other systems. I know some of them used to be our enemies, so they say, but we're all friends, we're all brothers, and we're all on a journey trying to get somewhere. So first of all, respect is a very big thing. You've got to respect those that have done where you are going and try and absorb the goodness of what they've done. And then the second part of it is, once you've done all of that, is also to respect those coming after you who are trying to get what you've got or have been through. So it's very much, you've got to be generous in and open-hearted and honest with the people that are interested in what you do and what you've done. And don't take the negatives of anything. There's a saying that always goes, there's three things. There's good, there's better, and there's best. Okay, there's no bad. It's just those three things. So even if you can't do the movement right, it's still good that you try. So don't give up. Yes, Ian said. And then if you can do the movement, like the stance work, but you can't move, for example, like in the Selim Tao we talked about, then keep practicing to be better. And if you can get to the better bit, then that means there's more to go. You've got to climb that mountain and go over that mountain to be the best. And only then you get to the top of the mountain, then you realise there's more mountains ahead. And that's the journey, yeah.